We talked about the Industrial Revolution yesterday a little bit. I want to go through this with you again. I may ask for some input, so be paying attention. Donovan, give us the definition of the Industrial Revolution.
Switch or the shift from manual labor to factories and machines.
Very good. The definition of the Industrial Revolution in America was the shift from manual labor to factories and machines. If you're able to do that, you can make the shift from manual labor to factories and machines. It's going to result in mass production in the United States, which is going to result in more profit.
What time period are we in?
Well, what time period are we in?
1815 to about...
We just finished the War of 1812, so we're in the area after the War of 1812. Okay, now, we talked about one of the first inventors and skilled workers in America who became a pioneer of the Industrial Revolution, a fellow by the name of Samuel Slater. And what he did, he was a very highly skilled mechanic from Great Britain. He began working in a British cotton textile mill at the age of 21. And because he was working for that British cotton textile mill, he became very knowledgeable about the spinning and weaving machines that were designed and built by those British inventors. Now the British were very paranoid about their secrets getting out about their weaving and spinning machines and their textile mills, and they wanted to keep all that a secret from the rest of the world, so they actually passed a law that forbid any of their workers from leaving the country. But Samuel Slater managed to slip out of the country. Okay? He arrived in New York in 1789, and once he was in the United States, he moved to Rhode Island, but he couldn't do anything as far as starting his own spinning and weaving machines because he had no money. So he had to find somebody to finance him, and the man that chose to finance Samuel Slater was a Quaker merchant, wealthy Quaker merchant by the name of Moses Brown. He gave Slater the money needed, and with that funding, Slater was able to reproduce those British spinning and weaving machines that were so successful in England. He made some good money on that, and certainly the guy that helped him did as well. Well, because of people like Samuel Slater, the factory system in the United States was established. And like I mentioned yesterday, I could talk for 2 weeks about the Industrial Revolution, but we are trying to get from point A to point B, and I'll work on things I think maybe are more important to know. We did talk about, however, the concept of interchangeable parts, and the man who came up with that new idea for building machines was Eli Whitney. Most people know him for the cotton gin, but in this particular instance, in 1798, he decided to try and manufacture guns using interchangeable parts, and he tried for 2 years to produce these weapons, finally perfected the concept in 1800. He then wrote a letter to the Secretary of the Treasury requesting a contract with the government to make guns for the government with interchangeable parts. It would be pretty convenient. On the battlefield, you've got 2 weapons that don't work. It'd be a possibility you could make 1 weapon that did work out of the parts from the 2, depending on what you had. But it was certainly an advantage. Well, the Secretary of the Treasury got the letter from Eli Whitney. He invited Eli Whitney to Washington, D.C. to meet with other government officials to kind of show off his new product. So when he got there, he unpacked a box containing the parts of 10 identical guns, and he scattered the parts on a large table for the officials, and then he assembled the first gun and repeated the process until all 10 guns were assembled. After that, of course, what they want to know, if they actually worked. And so he went out and fired all 10 weapons, and as a result of all of his efforts, he would receive this government contract to produce guns for the military. As a result of his efforts, mass production begins in the United States. Then we talked about the benefits of the Industrial Revolution. Okay, so I'm going to help you guys. Are going to help me on that. Logan, give me one benefit of the Industrial Revolution for the United States, as we mentioned yesterday.
Mass production.
What's that?
Mass production.
Okay, let's kind of make sure we get this right so we don't get points taken off. Okay, the Industrial Revolution required less manual labor, resulting in mass production. Make sure we get that, okay? So again, the correct answer to that is it required less manual labor, which resulted in which resulted in mass production. Okay? How about another one, Willow?
We built railroads in order to ship iron.
Very good. The Industrial Revolution built railroads so we could ship all these new goods to merchants. Okay? Andrew, you got another one? What else did the Industrial Revolution do?
Helped American use natural resources.
It allowed us to use our natural resources, which was really beneficial to us financially. Haley?
More jobs and less unemployment.
Yes, it created more jobs. Very good. Created more jobs. So it created more jobs. It built railroads. It required less manual labor, resulting in mass production. It allowed us to use our natural resources. What about the ladies, Shayla? Yeah, the ladies in America, housewives in America, began to get into the workforce for the first time. And like I mentioned, it wasn't near as big as when we got into World War II. That's when it really became evident where all women, many thousands and thousands of women went to work in the factories because we needed the production. The men were all fighting in the war. But it did affect American women. They became members of the working force. And as a result of all five, the sixth one is the Industrial Revolution made the United States the wealthiest nation in the world. Very good. All right, I think that's where we end. No, we talked about the famous three. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Ollie, which of the famous three favored states' rights? Which of the, you're going to get these like crazy in the quiz tomorrow. John C. Calhoun, right. Which of the famous three was the only Federalist, Cody? Who was the only Federalist in the famous three? Who was the only Federalist in the famous three? You got a 33 and a third % chance. Daniel Webster, very good, Daniel Webster. Okay, who was considered a very powerful speaker, Jamie? Very powerful speaker of the famous three. Daniel Webster, very good. Dylan, which of those three was considered a very persuasive speaker?
We have it. John?
C.
Calhoun.
Calhoun, very good. Okay, Cesar, which entered Congress in 1811?
Is it Henry?
And Henry, no, we're not going on first names here. Henry
Clay.
and
Um, is it
John
John?
C. Calhoun. Okay, Naeli Ramirez, which one was a Republican lawyer from Kentucky? Henry Clay, very good. William, which favored America's entrance into the War of 1812? Which of the three favored America's entrance into the War of 1812? Very good. Which two? Very good. Last names are great.
Slater.
Not Slater. He's an inventor. Famous three. Get down there. You could probably got it. What? Yep, that's right. Which two favored the War of 1812?
Henry Clay.
Yep, that's very good. Absolutely, that away. So the one that did not favor it was Daniel Webster, right? Okay. Cassie, which one was from Massachusetts?
Daniel Webster.
Okay, very good. Brody, which one represented the western part of the United States?
Henry Clay.
Henry Clay, very good. Which one had a striking appearance? Naeli Garay had a striking appearance. Henry Clay, very good. Daniel, which one of these represented the southern part of the United States? What? Oh, sorry, Marcus. You look a little like him. A little better looking he is, I think. Got a better mustache. So which of these guys represented the southern part of the United States? Very good. Okay? Which one entered Congress in 1813, Zaid? Come on. Okay, come, it's out of water anyway. So who was it? 1813. Who entered Congress in 1813? Daniel Webster. Very good. Mr. Padilla, who represented the northeastern part of the United States? Yeah, Daniel Webster. All right, Megan, who was the presidential candidate for the Republican Party in 1860?
James Madison. Wait, what was your question?
Who was the presidential candidate for president for the Republicans in
James
1860?
Monroe.
James Monroe.
Sorry.
There you go.
I knew it was one of them.
All right. Donovan, who was the Republican candidate for president in 1860?
You said Republican?
Yeah.
James Monroe?
Okay, I'm just seeing if he's paying attention. Okay, how about the Federalists? Who's the Federalist candidate for president? What? Rufus King, very good. Okay. All right. All right, we're going to move on. Here we go. The development of a new transportation system in the United States. Well, I know. You got to think about it. You're kind of the development of a new transportation system in the United States. Now, this is kind of an interesting statistic. We haven't talked much about this. Between the years of 1791 and 1820, how many states were there in 1791? 13. By the time we get to 1820, that's going to increase to 22. It's going to go from 18 to 22. And the population just west of the Appalachian Mountains, just in this area here, the population is going to increase by 2 million people. From 1791 to 1820, the population in lands west of the Appalachians, but yet east of the Mississippi, is going to increase by 2 million people, resulting in us going from 13 states to getting busy, to 22. Here are the new states and when they came in. 9 new states came in, right? 13 and 9, 22. Here's the 9 new states that came in. First one that came in, other than the original 13, anybody want to guess? What was our 14th state? Nope.
Was it Ohio?
Illinois.
Think about geographically and what's already involved.
Missouri. Georgia.
Vermont came in 1791, Vermont. So I'm going to give them to you in order in which they came in after the first 13. Vermont, 1791. Anybody want to guess? You kind of take a look now. Now the rest of them are going to be more, they're going to be more west of the Appalachians. I'll give you that hint. Got one? What'd you say? Missouri? Now listen. Willow said Missouri. That's not a bad guess. That's going to come in 1820 later, and it's going to be a huge controversy over Missouri. So keep that thought, but take another guess.
Another one?
Yeah. Missouri's a good guess because that's going to be a controversy. It's going to lead to something we know as the Missouri Compromise. What?
You said it was...
West of the Appalachians, east of the Mississippi. Take a guess. Shh. Vermont is the only one that's going to be kind of along the eastern seaboard. Tennessee, I'll give you that one while she thinks. Tennessee's the third one that came in, 1796. Tennessee, 1796. That's the third one. So Vermont was the first in 1791. Tennessee's the... Shh. I'll repeat it 1 billion times. Vermont, 1791. Tennessee, 1796. Anybody else got it? You got a shot yet? Okay, William, got a shot? Anybody got a shot? Give me a state. Ohio, 4th, 1803. Let's get them all here. Ohio, 4th, 1803. So we've got 1st Vermont, 1791. 3rd Tennessee, 1796. 4th, Kentucky is 2. Attaboy, 1792. So Vermont, number 1, 1791. Kentucky, number 2, 1792. Tennessee, number 3, 1796. Ohio, number 4, 1803. Pennsylvania, not.
Let me guess, Pennsylvania's the fifth one.
Nope.
Philadelphia.
What'd you say? No, New York's already one of the 13. Isn't Pennsylvania one of the 13?
Yeah.
Why would you
That's
slip
what
up
you
on
meant.
that?
So come on. Shh. Who's got one, Donovan? We got Vermont, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Ohio. We got the top 4.
Mississippi.
Nope.
Is it like
Mississippi, 7.
Is it like up north?
Mississippi, 7. 1817. Vermont, 1. 1791. Kentucky, 2. 1792. Tennessee, 3. 1796. Ohio, 4. 1803. Mississippi, 7. 1817.
When we skip to Alabama.
Yes, dear.
Illinois.
Illinois. First 10 minutes in class and she's kicking butt. Illinois is number 8. 1818.
Can we just go in order?
No, this is funner.
It's messing me up.
Oh, you too. Well, you get the ADHD out of
Virginia.
your system. Hey, hold up. Virginia's one of the 13.
Alabama.
Hold up. Vermont, 1791. Number from 1 to 9 and put them in order. Vermont, 1791. Kentucky, 1792. Tennessee, 1796. Ohio, 1803. Mississippi is number 7 at 1817. Illinois is number 8 at 1818. Alabama, who said that? Number 9, 1819. Alabama, number 9. Let's get them all. We got Vermont, Kentucky, Tennessee, Ohio, Mississippi, Illinois, and Alabama. 2 left.
Florida was one of the.
No.
I already said Florida.
Nebraska.
No. No. West Virginia. Shh. Now listen. Hey, listen. West Virginia is a good guess. They are going to split off during the Civil War. Okay, that's a good guess. Yeah, Maddie.
Indiana, one of them?
Indiana, this girl's on fire back there. Indiana is number 6, 1816. Indiana's number 6, 1816. So let's put them down so everybody's okay. 1, Vermont, 1791. 2, Kentucky, 1792. 3, Tennessee, 1796. 4, Ohio, 1803. We're missing 5. 6, Indiana, 1816. 7, Mississippi, 1817. 8, Illinois, 1818. 9, Alabama, 1819. We're missing 5. Now listen, I'll give you a hint. Listen carefully. Listen. Came out in 1812.
Was it a big one?
Nope. Think about 1812. What went on during 1812? War of 1812. Which state came in 1812? Louisiana. We protected it, didn't we?
Which one's that?
That is 5. Okay, let's start over here. You ready? We're going to repeat them again. 1. 1, Vermont. You're not saying I'm not. 1, Vermont. Are you ready here?
Yeah.
1, Vermont, 1791. Look at what William did. He just went down the lines and just put them in when I said it. It's like I said. Vermont, 1791. Kentucky, 1792. Tennessee, 1796. Ohio, 1803. Louisiana, 1812. Indiana, 1816. Mississippi, 1817. Illinois, 1818. And Alabama, 1819. All on video if you didn't get them all. You can get it later. Now, so listen. We're at 22. We're at 22 states, so the population has really grown. Now, we talked a little bit about this when we talked about the Whiskey Rebellion. Did we not talk about the Whiskey Rebellion? What was the problem with the roads and stuff during the Whiskey Rebellion? They were terrible. So what are we depending on? We're depending upon rivers or very poor roads for transportation. So what had to happen is the United States had to develop a good transportation system to create a solid government. We got to have a road that goes from east to west so we can transport things. Now listen, we're not there yet. This road will probably connect to rivers, right? River travel's okay, but crappy roads to the rivers makes it tough. So this transportation system is going to need to be created. And it's going to start, they're going to construct this new road in 1806. And it's going to be known in American history as the Cumberland Road. The Cumberland Road. And it's going to be a much better road than what we have used before. So, during this 29-year period of time, from 1791 to 1820, the population west of the Appalachians doubled to more than 10 million people, and because of that, 9 new states entered the Union. So we have 22 states in the Union. And during that same 29-year period, these western settlers were depending on bad roads for transportation. The roads that were even going to the river, which allowed good transportation, were bad. So the government finally decided we have to build a really nice road from the eastern part of the United States to the Mississippi River because we got to transport goods. And that road is going to be known as the Cumberland Road. Now the reason they call it the Cumberland Road is because this construction started near Cumberland, Maryland in 1806. That's where they started the road, was Cumberland, Maryland. And by the time they stopped construction for the first time in 1811, it's going to go all the way to Ohio. So if you look at the map, it's going to go from Maryland